There we go. So this is my presentation for today. Thank you for the introduction, Sagita, and thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be in Vilnius. It's my first time. I've been doing lots of exploring, and it was really nice to see the presentations on Thursday. Gave me some extra kind of ways to explore your wonderful city here in colour. And today, the presentation that I'm sharing is called Colour Matters, the Semiotics of Colour in Branding and the Built Environment. So, firstly, a little bit about myself. You've already had a bit of an introduction from Sagita, but as she said, I'm a multisensory artist, designer, and strategist, and I work across branding, print, industrial, and spatial design, amongst other things, but that's how I like to break it down. I have a particular interest in colour and material, and until very recently I was working at a company in London called Franklin Till, which is a small UK-based agency focused on the future of design, colour and material in order to drive positive change. So very much looking at sustainability and regenerative futures. And when I was working at Franklin Till, I worked on future colour reports, that helped brands to understand emerging cultural shifts through visual publications, such as this one called Colour Futures, which was a colour in food publication we did for a company called Xberry, who are a natural food colour company. And also looking at spatial colour and material storytelling, as you can see in the second image. I did a lot of bringing our research to life through exhibitions, through spatial design, creating very tactile, very immersive exhibitions that help people to understand what sustainability in material and colour is. And working at Franklin Till really deepened a passion I already had for colour and how it shapes perception across industries, from interiors and retail to product and brand identity. But this summer I left to focus on my own design and consultancy studio, HEKA, once again. And in ancient Egyptian, he means to activate and ka means the soul. And activating my own soul and the soul of other people, brands and projects through my sensory work is the driving force behind everything I do. My practice focuses on how visual, tactile, flavourful, fragrant and sonic choices create meaning. In brand communication, products, and the spaces we inhabit. So yeah, I do this through a mixture of consultancy, design, events, and spatial design and writing. So I'm especially interested in the emotional power of colour and how it shapes our experience. And often this happens before we're even aware of it. From food to interiors, products to experiences, colour can delight or disgust, uplift or relax, excite or depress. It has the power to ignite all sorts of feelings within us, both individually and collectively. And today I want to share a way of looking at colour as a language, one that we can choose intentionally or adopt unintentionally, because colour is never neutral. Even when it seems simple, it's always communicating something. And this is true in every space and every brand. Colour sends messages before any words are even written, are even read. So in branding, colour shapes personality and trust. It can signal qualities like luxury, nostalgia, or heritage. And often that happens, again, before we even see the logo. In interiors and architecture, colour creates expectations. It influences our perceptions of space, function, comfort, mood, and even value. And this is where semiotics comes in. Firstly, we need to understand what semiotics is. So semiotics is the study of signs, sign systems, and their interrelationship. Simply put, how things come to have meaning. So the founder of semiotics, Charles Sanders Peirce, defined it as something that stands for something to someone in some capacity. And the semiotics of colour is how we convey meaning through colour as a sign. So when I was going to stand up here today and I was thinking about what outfit I was wearing, I was like, looks a bit like pajamas, maybe a bit summery. I don't know if it's the right outfit because it's very cold in Vilnius. But then when I went to the markets today and there's loads of beautiful dried fruit and like lots of really nice pomegranates, I was like, I feel like it's actually okay. Because I feel like even clothes can be a sign. They can have semiotic meaning as well. So the semiotics of colour can be broken down into 3 layers, and those are denotation, connotation, and myth. And denotation is the literal colour, so what it is on a surface. In this instance, Pantone's colour of the year in 2025, Mocha Mousse. Connotation is what the colour makes us feel or think. So it's the cultural, social, or emotional associations that go beyond the literal meaning. So this colour appears in Skims branding, interiors, and shapewear products a lot. And the myth is a shared social meaning that develops over time. It's how a colour becomes symbolic. So Skims have created a myth around this colour, Mocha Mousse, as a mid-tone skin colour, and catering for all body shapes and skin tones through their wide colour range. Skims has revolutionised shapewear with diversity, inclusivity, and female empowerment as core values. And this celebration of diversity and inclusivity is symbolic of Skims' social commitment and creates meaning through colour. So why does colour create meaning? Colour meanings come from several sources. They come from biology, context, and materiality. The factors that influence the meaning of colours are biology, culture, context, and materiality. Sorry, that was just repeated on my slide. Some responses are biological, where red can signal danger, green often feels safe and calm. So it could be that the red of the mushroom is really dangerous to animals. It could be poisonous frogs, whereas green of nature feels really kind of nourishing and uplifting and much more calming to us. It denotes plants, it connotes nature and freshness, and the myth around green is sustainability, particularly ecological responsibility. So as you can see, one colour can carry an entire narrative. In these instances, a vivid green is used as a surreal interpretation of the surrounding nature. So Garden Pizza in Barcelona is set in a beautiful garden, and their branding uses that colour to represent the colour that surrounds the restaurant. And it's also the colour of the wall in my kitchen, and I wanted to have it as a surreal representation of the garden beyond. We live backing onto a park, and you can see the trees and the grass, and it's very green out the back. Culture. Some meanings are cultural, learned through tradition, history, and shared symbols. And context also matters. The same colour can feel different depending on the palette and the environment. Take red, for example. So Windsor Palace in the UK uses red in a really regal way on its walls. They're really textured red wallpapers, rich red carpets, but it's paired with like mahogany woods, gold, and very regal chandeliers. Whereas Reebok, the flagship store in South Korea, uses red, the very similar red, but it's through lighting, it's through their metal point of sales, and it's paired with black and silver and chrome, so it has a much more futuristic and kind of mysterious feel. And then materiality also changes perception too. So the same red on stone feels different on velvet or on metal, because of the different surface finishes, from matte to richly textured to shiny. Light's either absorbed or reflected, creating different surface qualities. And also the strength and vitality of the pigment plays a role. So when we choose a colour, we are also choosing the meanings behind it. Just to land the idea further, I'm going to take you through some branding case studies that capitalise on colour to create identity. So Barbie pink is instantly recognisable, and it signals a very stereotyped femininity, but also playfulness and fantasy, all before the name is read. There's also skincare brand Aesop, and their stores all around the world, their packaging use very earthy, natural neutrals to create a sense of calm, refined, and tactile sensory experience that communicates quality and care. And it's much more subtle, like the wall in the middle is a whole wall made of soaps. So you're getting that colour, but it's also that really neutral, very calming colour as you walk into one of their stores. So colour can exist alongside other sensory inputs. And then IKEA's blue and yellow, which everyone will recognise, reflects its Swedish heritage, but also that sense of optimism, accessibility, and also affordability. Colour here is national identity and brand personality all at once. And this was a celebration of the colours of IKEA through their Fracta bag, which is a really utilitarian and very well-known object. And they did a whole pop-up in London to celebrate those colours and shapes from IKEA this year. So in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science, researchers Lauren Lebrecq and George Milner explain that, like a carefully chosen brand name, colour carries intrinsic meaning that becomes central to the brand's identity, contributes to brand recognition, and communicates the desired image. So, built environment case studies. And firstly, residential colour. So residential colour often needs to work for multiple people. It's about how you want to make people feel within a space that's really important. What function a room has, and also that's another key consideration when choosing colour. So using colour to design for well-being, as Sigita was talking about earlier, is really, really important. The right colour can make you feel a certain way, and the wrong colour can make you feel something that you don't want to feel. Places for rest, work, play, entertaining, and relaxing should all use colours to serve those particular functions. And colour guides behaviour. I know that we're going to hear a little bit more about this in the next presentation, but wayfinding in hospitals, airports, train stations, schools, and other public places, colour helps people to navigate safely and efficiently. And this example is about in London in 2024, the London Overground network got rebranded from all orange lines, as you can see on the left, to adopting individual colours and names for each line in the network to make it easier to navigate getting around, because people were getting lost. It was like a whole network of lines that were all orange, and it didn't make any sense. So they changed the colours change the colours and names and use it as an opportunity to improve the navigation, but also bring some of London's rich cultural heritage and those colour associations to the city as well. And then in hospitality and retail, colour sets mood, expectation, and identity. So warm tones can feel really inviting, and cool tones feel calmer or more modern often. And on the right, you can see the redesigned interiors of De Wit, which is a revitalised cinema and brasserie in Dordrecht in the Netherlands. And these colours were chosen in this particular place to represent the colour palette of the city, which is blue and orange, as seen on the city map on the right, on the left. This identity cements the space as a vibrant cultural hub and destination, and really kind of brings that sense of the city to life in this space. And then cities can also use colour to communicate identity. So here, British artist Le Quena and architecture practice If Do designed a spectacular permanent structure to house or cloak an industrial substation on the outskirts of London, which is a place that not many people live, but lots of people pass by. And the installation, called Here We Come, Here We Rise, looks like a funfair roller coaster. And she's used lenticular design to be seen at multiple speeds, levels, and directions, which is really joyful and makes the space more curious, because as you're passing in different directions, it's going to have new meaning as you move around the space. So in the built environment, colour can shape experience, perception, and emotional response too. So lastly, I just want to end on a bit of a toolkit for intentional colour use. So this is a bit where you can apply some of the things I've talked about. And firstly, to start with meaning. Sorry, that title seems to have moved down. It says start with meaning, and that idea is that you always start with the meaning you want to communicate. In the case of my bathroom redesign, that meant using colour for zoning, complementary colours to create contrast, and different tiles for texture. And I wanted it to evoke a sense of warm holidays in Mexico or Morocco, but with a contemporary Palm Springs twist. The second one is considering culture and history. So making sure to be aware of cultural associations and historical references in colour. This is a mood board that I did. It's just a collage mood board looking at some contemporary colours and interpretations of pink and red, along with some more historical ones. And it's just a recent kind of interior colour exploration. And then the idea that colour always looks different on different materials and in different lights and in different contexts. So always testing your designs before committing. And this was a project called Funnel Fair that I did. And it's maybe a little bit harder to see on here, but these yellow and red ones turned out much better than the middle ones. You could really see the tooling marks on the pink funnel in the middle, but the other ones have been in a sulfuric bath for longer, so it made the surface appear a lot more matte, which gave it just a much more refined and continuous finish of colour, whereas the one in the middle had lots of lines around it, and it just drew your eyes in all of the wrong places. And then number 4 is about using contrast and harmony strategically. So contrasting colour schemes that you can achieve through complementary colours and bright shades can really attract attention and create vibrancy, or using, on the opposite end of the scale, more tonal or analogous colours can calm or unify, creating a more harmonious colour scheme. And both are tools that you can and should use when you're looking at colour in interior spaces or branding. And the last one is about accidental meaning, so avoiding accidental meaning. And this one is all about how even unintended colour choices send messages. So on the left, this is the Royal College of Art in London, and it was designed in the 60s, opened in 1962, and they chose like a really dark brick to match what was the Royal Albert Hall next door and the apartments. But in 1970, the Royal Albert Hall and the apartments got cleaned of all the smog and dirt. And now the Royal College of Art looks really austere and drab and just does not fit in that place. So even though they had tried to be intentional with colour, they maybe hadn't thought about the fact that those bricks were not the original colour. So to finish, and summarise, intentional colour is about clarity, it's about emotion, and it's about storytelling. It's about making every choice that we have count. Colour is a language, and when we use it consciously, we communicate clearly and meaningfully, but when we ignore it, it still communicates, but the message may not be ours. Thank you very much.